Who am I? What is my purpose? Which mountain bike is right for me? Over the past 6 months, I've kind of faced a bit of an identity crisis. I thought I was pretty sure about the right type of bike for me and what type of rider I was. For a while there, for me, it was all about the Santa Cruz Tallboy. And if you followed the Pros Closet's YouTube channel, hi Mom and Dad, you probably saw the video where I gushed about how much I loved the Tallboy. Then the Santa Cruz Megatower came my way. It's the bigger brother of the Tallboy. And I just don't know what to think anymore. Okay, so we've already ventured into the realm of pop psychology. Let's just say it. A bike, it's like a personality test. For instance, you've got a type A cross-country racer. They want a bike that's light, stiff, fast. They're going places and they're doing it fast. Then maybe you got a more relaxed and laid back downhiller person who's, they just want some long travel. They want something that's gonna shred. They need some thick tires. They love it when their disc brake rotors are the size of an extra large pizza. Obviously, you can see the difference there, but most of us fall in between those two, right? And that's where I thought I was as well. I love doing long rides. I climb a lot, but I also descend a lot. I wouldn't call myself a downhiller by any means. I used to race a fair bit. I don't do quite as much any longer, but I'll hop in a race once in a while. That's where I thought I landed, but then things started to change this summer. I stopped shaving my legs. I started riding this Megatower. I didn't really mind pushing the extra weight up hills, even if it meant hiking, a lot. And all the while, I seem to be completely content with this Megatower. So maybe I've changed my personality a little bit, I guess. But is this bike gonna actually be the right mountain bike for me going forward? That's where this review comes in. And I really wasn't sure whether I would be happy long-term with this amount of travel and this amount of weight. So there was only one way to find out, and that's by spending a good amount of time on the trails with this Megatower. So let's start by looking at the geometry here. And that was one of the first things that had me convinced the Megatower might be right, because it's very similar to the Tallboy, almost identical in fact. Head tube angle is within about a degree of the Tallboy, slightly slacker as you'd expect. Seat tube angle, nearly the same. Reach, pretty darn close. The wheelbase is slightly longer, about 20 millimeters, but all in all, it's striking how similar these bikes are in terms of their geometry. So, the Santa Cruz engineers, are they just lazy? Or are they crazy? Or maybe they're onto something. I'd argue that they're definitely onto something, because for the majority of mountain bikers out there, this is the geometry you really want. This is long reach, short stem. It gives you a lot of stability on the downhills. It puts you in a comfortable position whether you're climbing, riding on flat rolling trails, or descending. And it doesn't sacrifice a lot when it comes to tight, twisty trails, because Santa Cruz smartly spec'd these bikes with a reduced offset fork. It's a lot of math, but trust me, it really does make a difference on the trail, and the handling, it's spot on. So all of that makes the comparison between the Megatower and the Tallboy much more pure. There are a lot less variables to consider. Basically, we're really just looking at suspension travel and the additional adjustments and stiffness that the Enduro chassis can offer. For that matter, I made sure to run the same wheels and tires on both bikes. And yes, that setup is perhaps a little bit on the heavy side for Tallboys, but I just don't like getting flat tires. Well, I flatted. And it's easier to just swap the wheels back and forth. These two bikes even look really similar. I've had friends who were just kind of glancing at me as I rode past on the trail, and they had to ask whether it was the Megatower or whether it was the Tallboy. And for that matter, when I hopped on the Megatower, I immediately felt at home. The position was extremely similar. It only took about a ride or so before I was completely comfortable on this bike. But that is where most of the similarities end, because once the Megatower got rolling on a fast, rocky descent, the type of trails I love to ride, boy, that extra 40 millimeters of travel really made a huge difference. This bike holds its line exceptionally well through choppy rock gardens. It's confident, it's stable, corners well at high speeds. It really outshines the Tallboy. It might be a little unfair to make this comparison, and it shouldn't come as any surprise that a 160 millimeter enduro bike is going to descend better than a 120 millimeter trail bike. But it's worth noting, and really it should also be said that it's not strictly about the amount of travel on this bike, it's how it's employed. And A lot of that comes down to all of the suspension adjustments you have at your disposal. With the fork, you've got high-speed compression, low-speed compression, high-speed rebound, low-speed rebound, air pressure. On the rear shock, the RockShox Deluxe, you've got a climbing switch, you've got high-speed rebound. It can get a little overwhelming. And it was really good, in fact, to have this bike tuned using a motion instruments device. You can read about that on our blog. Once you have the bike tuned, it really makes a big difference in how controlled it is under successive hits at speed, under big bottom outs, jumps, drops, all those sorts of things. There's a reason why this suspension has become so complex and technologically advanced. And for that matter, the overall chassis ends up being stiffer too, since it's a 36 mil stanchion fork, since you've got the larger shock with an extra piggyback on it. All these things add up to make it a great performer on the downhills. Okay, so yeah, a longer travel bike is gonna descend better than a shorter travel bike. That's not a huge news flash for you. But the real question for me was how this Megatower will hold up on the climbs, because I gotta get to the top of these descents and I'm not usually shuttling them. So I took it out, did some of the hardest climbs in my neighborhood, did some of the most technical climbs around, these climbs that I perversely enjoy. I don't know why, but it's a fun challenge. And frankly, the Megatower is not that much of a disadvantage for me. I got accustomed to it. Yes, the extra 3 pounds of weight is not ideal, but it's not a total deal breaker for me. It also sits a little taller. The stance is higher because you've got more travel, which is just kind of comes with the territory. In that respect, it maybe doesn't quite climb as well as a tall boy, but man, I hit the switch to make the rear suspension stiffer. I pedal along. As long as I can keep my traction, this thing really climbs well beyond what you'd expect from a 160 millimeter travel enduro bike. Okay, by now I can hear what you're thinking. Spencer, why don't you just get a Santa Cruz Hightower? And you're kind of right. It's a great compromise between a tall boy and a Megatower. 145 millimeters of rear travel, 150 millimeters of front travel. Same suspension configuration, same geometry. It's a great bike. Maybe I'll get one someday. Maybe I'll make a video for you about it. We'll see. In the meantime, the question I had on my mind was just whether this Megatower, this enduro race bike, could be versatile enough to handle everyday riding. And I think it really just kind of partly comes down to your preferences and your local trails. If you've got more smooth, bermy, fast trails, if you like a bike that feels more poppy and lively, obviously I think the tall boy is a pretty good choice for you. And it's capable enough for anything. You can ride rocky trails on it, no problem. But if you're riding a lift serve, if you're really just like downhill focused, maybe you're getting shuttled to the top of the gnarliest trails in your area, obviously a Megatower, that's probably where you're gonna wanna go. Well, as for myself, I gave it some thought and I really think I'm gonna stick with the Megatower because it really, for me, just comes down to what is gonna be more fun. Now, I could have taken this Megatower out on some smooth cross-country trails and just hated it and tried to prove to you that this bike can't ride that sort of trail and it's hard and it's slow and heavy, blah, blah, blah. But no, I don't want to do that because I just want to have fun when I'm riding a mountain bike. That's what it's all about. This isn't some sort of mid-sized sedan that you're using to commute to work or take the kids around town, get groceries. No, this is a mountain bike. It's meant to have fun on. This is a bike for mega fun. The Megatower, that's the bike for me. So I'm gonna sell my tall boy and I'm gonna stick with the Megatower. So how about you? Have you thought about getting a longer travel mountain bike? Or do you already have one? What are you riding? Do you like it? Is it good? Is it bad? Let me know about it in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to the Pros Closets YouTube channel. Appreciate it if you like this video too. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.